Hello, hello, hello. Let me get set up here. Clearly, I am running a few minutes late. Later than expected. Toddler trying to go to bed and got us distracted. This will be a shorter stream, obviously, with a little bit of a later start time. That was because podcasts took a little bit longer than sometimes. Podcast being 10-minute Marvel, because, well, it was a busy week for Marvel in that we had the penultimate episode of Miss Marvel, and then the Thor Love and Thunder opening weekend, which that has done quite well. Let's see if I can actually get this bottle open here. Always so nice when the perforated lines don't actually go. There we go. I think that is it. Oh, there's another layer of defense as well. This is an Islay Scotch. Just picked up. Wanted to give it a whirl. Oh, smells wonderful and smoky. Just a little pour tonight. Like I said, a little bit shorter video, as I'm going to be going through some of the contents here of Stars of Akarios. I'm not sure how precisely it's pronounced, but this is a new game, newly fulfilled Kickstarter from OOM Board Games. OOMM. And from Brendan McCaskill as the designer for it. This is supposed to be a big kind of space exploration, story-driven game, cooperative gameplay for 1 to 4 players. I'm not sure how long the game itself is supposed to take, all the campaign elements, but we have our very nice cover over here, which I'm only showing off now because I don't have to pick up the box to show it off with just the box cover here. This is, like I said, a good sized game. Shorter box than Gloomhaven, but slightly wider. I think same depth, or same this way, slightly more this way, less this way than Gloomhaven. Though there is box lift, so it doesn't lay perfectly flat, which I think is how this corner ended up getting dinged. Not a massive, negative or anything like that, but just maybe something to be aware of, since how this fits in on the top. You have this map, which I'll show off in a second here, and then these boards, and they don't fit perfectly into the box size. Everything else packs in really well with game trays inserts. I think it's game trays anyways. Pretty sure, because they're doing Mythwind insert as well, that this is going to be same sort of insert for this one. So very good scotch, but it always has that kind of opening punch to it. Over here we have our map of Draconian, Adistria, Virtus, Tressian, Carina. We have the Rathan Empire, the United Intergalactic Alliance, and the Abyss. assuming all of these areas are different areas that we can go to in this game. And then I didn't go with all the minis for this game. And even if you do get the separate mini box, you will still have these different ships here. Which, knife is behind me. Stay there, knife. Feels like there should be room. There we go. Yes, I finally got a copy. I actually got it last Friday. I think it showed up. I looked at it a little bit then. But doing more of an official unboxing tonight. I'm gonna check out the punch board. Just show off some of the fun artwork here on the ships. It's interesting because it has like this super epic look to this box cover, as well as then with this map kind of bouncing back to it. This very like realistic looking galaxy type thing, but the artwork itself is a little bit more cartoony. For the different, I'm assuming ships or things you can research, people. But it's so intriguing to me, like, we have these 2 sheets of hex maps that it's going to be this space exploration element to the game. Like, there's space combat with your ship and everything going on. But then you also have, from what I know, this on-planet experience as well. And I don't know, for some reason, whenever I think big kind of space exploration and that space combat, I always assume it's going to be competitive, which this one is not. We have our little foam here. And then move this out of the way. For our different players, our player boards, assuming, do a quick look. Yes, these look to all be the same. So I'm going to set 3 of them aside here. Going to show off this one a little bit more, because down here we have some of our main actions, or basic actions we can do for like movement or attack. We have all of these things are recessed. This is recessed. So let's see. Where do we have like some of the tokens here? That's sitting in there quite well. I'm assuming then this is a scout ship. Drops in there. Must be something you can put up here to expand it. I'm not going to try and track down all the tokens, because that will just end up being a big mess. I think I can fit these tokens back in. Just nice, because otherwise it gets to be a bit of a mess when you are taking out tokens and leaving them everywhere. There's a number of tokens for this game. This is nothing compared to, say, Gloomhaven, but it's not nothing. So over here, ooh. Interesting. So there, I knew there was an app element to the game. I haven't looked into it too much because I picked this one up off of eBay once it started showing up everywhere. And, well, showing up everywhere, or showing up in the hotness on Board Game Geek, and people talking about it on Facebook groups like the Dice Tower, Board Game Revolution, Board Game Geek group. And it just intrigued me a whole lot. So, I like that when a company creates apps or story elements for their games and lets people kind of build off of that. So, I believe Destiny's just had that come out. And in all fairness, it's mainly Lucky Duck Games that does this. So Destiny's and Chronicles of Crime are the two I can think of. Set those out of the way. And we're not going to open up these decks of cards here because, well, I would have to remember where I took stuff out from. But it looks like we have our more map style locations. As well as then, okay, enemy combat, it looks like. So kind of deck-based, card-based combat coming up here. We have our tech deck here, advanced controls. Ignore negative effects of terrain, including line of sight. Modifier deck. Very Gloomhaven-like, which I think is why this game kind of gets compared to Gloomhaven. We have co-pilot abilities here, but this one looks, as I flip it over, that upgraded ion cannon, that looks more like it's probably another tech upgrade. So I hope that everything fits in here nicely. It should. I don't care about sleeving my stuff, so I can't imagine that would fit sleeved in here. If you are somebody who wants to do that, let's see, we'll set this one over here. Bump the camera, of course. And continue to delve further into this because we have character and ship. Ship off the base, but looks like it just sets on pretty nicely. So you're going to have that space flight element to it. Actually take it off the base to put it back in there. And your character, I'm assuming this one is more for the terrain locations. And like Gloomhaven, well, your starting modifier deck. Plus, it looks like there's room for dice down here. Is what I would assume that's going to be the case. And it gives you a lot of these sheaths for your character. So I'm assuming the idea is you can come back and play it again. We have Dusty here. Some pretty sweet ship designs. Tall, long alien. And we have 2 more here as well. So I find that interesting. So we have, oh, maybe we do have more characters as well. These are just the ones that come pre-packed. We have our little campaign sheet. That is intriguing to know if there's painting examples. Let's look at this last tray here. We have trauma. Always good to get trauma. Oh, interesting. So we have the sparrow. Sparrow must be like the big ship. Let's see. Not on the stand. Okay. So there are starting characters expects you to go with. Good to know. Ooh, silica gel. To remind my cats not to eat that later. Rulebook and board. So this is where the hex stuff is going to go on. I'm not going to open it up. It doesn't look too thrilling. Just what you want. Our 8 different sheets for the enemy boards. Or 8 different boards, I should say. So you always want a situation where you're going to have that many enemies. This must be, well, night sky, so space related cards here, plus combat symbols, things like that. I like it. It gives you the visual so you can remember a lot of these things. Push, pull, you can probably figure that out. Slow, stun. You're going to remember what they do potentially faster than you remember what they are. Okay, yeah, so we have the rest of the minis down here. We have our bases. Bases, yellow, I'm assuming. Maybe this isn't, well, there's even split, it looks like. And then your dice, which I'm assuming you can pack in a certain number into the character boxes so that it is just ready to pull and play as you go. I'm going to do it. It's like, am I going to open this? Like I said, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. Okay, elite version of a ship gets a yellow base. Does not want to open. Like I said, I looked at this a little bit, but you can tell I haven't read the rules. I haven't pulled open the scenario book yet. Start to look at that. Not a ton of artwork, mainly diagram based. There's story elements, spots to look at there. 87, 88, 92. Gets us through Act 2. And I don't think all of these are required. Looks like some of them are more specific. But 142 different scenarios in this box, which is a whole heck of a lot. Of course. Now can I get it to lay flat in here again? Actually, I want to pop this open so I can look at the rule book in a second here. I'm going to have to call this pretty fast here, because I can hear a toddler moving around upstairs, which at 9:30 at night he should not be. So time to go in a second, try and get him back to bed. Rulebook very Spartan as well, and an app. I'm going to have to check that out. Ooh, plus it gives you the examples of tech and whatnot in there. Alright. Yeah, the toddler has taken to not sleeping. It is great fun for the parents. So, I mean, I guess to repeat myself yet again, so I put Dusty back on there. This has been the Stars of Akarios. Which fit in here somehow. Got all the tokens. I'm leaving this out so I can read that probably tonight. Start looking at it, because I'm hoping, well, maybe this is a question for you, those of you who have looked at this a little bit more, since I haven't looked at it that much. Is it like Gloomhaven in that if you want to play solo, you are playing two-handed? Or is it like some other games, some other story-driven games, where you can play true solo? So you only have to keep track of one thing. Because, well, I could see this being one that I stream coming up here. I really like the look of this art cover. And the whole concept of the game is really interesting to me. So I want to know more about it. I want to be able to dive into it. I want to be able to get that packed away so that the cover is not sitting that far off the top of everything. It looks like rule-wise, rules end on page 33. Oh, so yes, you can play with one. Nice. 5 days. Cool, good to know. But you can play two-handed. I'll have to see what it looks like for that. I am very curious about this one because the rulebook here looks nice. Looks like it explains everything. It is a little bit Spartan on stuff, but I'm not going to complain about that. This definitely looks intriguing, and I want to check this one out and get it to the table. I think I probably will. I think once I finish the first kind of adventure set of chapters for the Pathfinder adventure card game, which might be on Wednesday or might be the following week. We'll have to see. But I might take a little bit of time to learn this game, Stars of Akarios, and get it played because, well, one, it'll be relevant to when people are still getting this game in, people are still hearing about this, wanting to check it out. And two, this is a bigger game, but it looks like one that isn't going to be too hard to keep set up on the table. And sometimes that's what I want in a campaign game. One that I can, well, a lot of the time. That's why I got this gaming table, so I can have it set up on the table. And with the minis only being yay high or so, they should fit underneath there. It's not like Tainted Grail where you have the men here that are that tall, not compared to my face, that tall. And I would have to knock them over. I would have to lay them down to be able to fit it on the table. But with that, like I said, fast stream, that's about half an hour, maybe. I honestly don't know at this point. It just tells me that it's live, so that's not useful. But hopefully it was a little bit of fun to go through all of this, see the different pieces. I mean, Studio Lanniston and a Fatal Paper Cut, both of you already know the pieces for this one, and I'm glad you were here so that you can answer the questions I had with it. And yeah, if you're interested in what I do, sometimes it's going to be shorter videos like this. A lot of times it's longer gameplays. Subscribe to Malts and Meeples, and hopefully I'll see you in the chat next time. But if you enjoyed this content, leave a comment, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell. Bottoms up.